Bishop Claude Dubuis was the Bishop of Texas in the late 1800s. And he wrote a letter to Lyons, France, really asking for sisters to come to Texas. There was a desperate need to be able to help care for the sick, and also really to work with Anne to raise orphans. And there was just a number of basic social issues. 3 sisters were asked to leave Lyons, France, and come to the United States and work with Bishop Claude Dubuis. And they were really responding to his call in his letter that a multitude of sick and infirm of every kind seeks relief at your hands. And that's what we do every day. Today, that legacy, as we know, extends not only to multiple states within the United States, but it extends to Mexico, it extends to Colombia, it extends to Chile. So, we have spread that mission to multiple countries. And so if you think about how we've done that in partnership. We've done that in partnership with the communities we've served. We've done that in partnerships with our medical staff. But most importantly, we've done that in partnership with our associates. The challenge today is how do we compete in an economic environment that's quite different than it was, let's say, 100 or 150 years ago. We have to have a business, and we have to run it as a business, but we know that it's a ministry. It's the same today, but for us, it's not business, it's a ministry. And because of that, I think we always challenge ourselves to look at things a little bit differently, as we did 150 years ago and as we do today.
We were actually the last group of sisters that came by boat. One of the things that hit us when we got off the boat was the heat and the humidity, and all that was just unbelievable. So that was quite a difference from Ireland and from the nice cool weather we have in Ireland.
It was considered an honor for parents to have one of their children that entered religious life.
I remember when my mom took me to the convent for the initial interview, she told the superior who was interviewing me that I didn't know how to do anything. And I was just so upset.
We were just getting out of the Depression, but then World War II started. There was something lacking that I just couldn't get fulfilled. And I even told my boyfriend, I said, I really have to enter the convent because it's bothering me that I'm not getting my dream fulfilled.
If the priesthood had been open, I probably would have joined the Jesuits because they were the pastors in our parish.
And I used to sneak in the back of the chapel and watch the sisters pray. And I had a list of criteria that the sisters had to measure up to. I wanted them to look like they were happy. I wanted to see smiles on their faces. I wanted them to act like normal human persons. And I didn't want to have to wear anything that looked like E.T. landed here in it. So they met the criteria. And so then I requested entrance.
My mother said, oh no, she's not going to go for 2 more years. Oh, I said, Mama, I have to go. I said, God is calling me, and I must go.
Every congregation order has a different spirit to it, and I was really drawn to the spirit of the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word. When we got to New York, and the others in my class had relatives in New York, I didn't have any relatives, and so they had relatives. They were meeting them, and while I was going to go to their family with them, I thought, my gosh, there's the whole ocean between me and my family. And at the time, I remember saying, if there was a barrel going back over. I'd get into it and go back home.
There was a sister that especially made an impact on me. And so in those days, whoever was a superior was called Mother. And so Mother Ana Luisa was a Mexican sister. From the time that she knew me when I was little, I really bonded with her. Most of the sisters that I had known all my life were Irish. And so she was unique to me in that way first. And so I remember, just her telling me wonderful stories, painting my imagination with stories of her early days, and trying to and working especially in Hispanic ministry and working with Hispanic people.
One of my first ministries was in Lake Charles, Louisiana. My responsibility there was training the radiology students. They had a little time getting used to my brogue, and I had a little time getting used to their personalities and but it was wonderful.
I remember going to Lake Charles, first time to have chicory in your coffee. And it was just a different way of life in Louisiana from, my part of the Gulf Coast in Texas. All the young sisters who were thinking of going into nursing took a nurse's aid course. After that time, you really had a good idea if you wanted to be a nurse or what area of the hospital you wanted to work in.
I had the opportunity to go to Newellton to start a home health program. And we had a small hospital and a 56-bed nursing home. So my job was to see them at home. That's a different kind of nursing because then you see people in their turf and not on hospital turf. And it's a great thing because you get to know not only the patients in a much different ambiance, but you get to know their families.
From St. Pat's, I went to St. Elizabeth's in Beaumont, and I was in charge of the radiology department there. The people there really made it. They're very warm, they're very friendly, really like my own people in Ireland.
The day began for us at about 7:30 in the morning. We were still wearing the habit in those days. On until 5 in the afternoon. And by 6 o'clock, we were back on the job. Then we worked until 9 at least. But some of the nursing sisters, if the situation called for it, might be on the job till 11. And then back in the morning at 7:30.
And in those days, we didn't have a sterilizer to sterilize needles or syringes. We would soak them in 100% alcohol, the needles. And if the needles were dull, we sharpened them ourselves.
Whenever I found myself in really scary situations, I would just talk to the Blessed Mother and say, okay, now I need help. What do I do with this? And it never failed.
I work very closely, too, with spiritual care, and they go everywhere in the hospital. The chaplains, they walk into a crisis. They don't make it go away, but they're there with people as they go through with it.
I was asked if I would go to Santa Rosa to be the person for mission and values integration. And I thought, no way. Like, no way. The last group of people I would feel comfortable working with are doctors and hospital administrators. However, I took the job and I absolutely loved it.
I was a chaplain, and that was a great experience because I was with patients when they died, and when they were really sick. I learned from experience that it's just your presence, and to listen to what they have to say is very important.
What I remember more than anything else at Cabrini was how beneficial it is to really work well with the doctors and their offices. So the teamwork was just wonderful.
It was a team of genuinely good people looking at situations and genuinely saying what's best for the community.
I can look back on 3 generations of students. Last semester, the second day of school, a young man in the front row said, "I told my mother you were my teacher," and she said you had taught her also. And I've had that happen numerous times. I haven't hit a grandchild yet.
But when they first went there, the people were scared of the sisters because they were all dressed in white. But then they got to love the sisters. They knew they were there to help them and to give them good care.
Well, I was good at starting IVs. I had the skill. And I could do that real easily. And this one man, he would come in quite often for blood transfusions. And one time I was doing that, and he was a good Cajun man from Brobridge. And he said, Sister Jackie, would you mind if I call you my adopted daughter? I put my arms around his neck and I said, "Oh, wait, I'd love to be your adopted daughter," with tears in my eyes.
Every one of us is a child of God, but in many ways, it is true that you can recognize something special, divine, wonderful in every human being. One of the sisters who was a chaplain told me there was a prisoner, because there were prisons close by. There was a prisoner in the ICU, and he had AIDS. A decision had to be made whether to disconnect him or not. And so I was there with the family, with a niece actually, when they removed the tube. The first word that came out from him was in Spanish. He said, "Ah, wow." So it's like Jesus' suffering in him was very present somehow.
They left an indelible, very positive, loving mark on my own heart and soul. When you treat people with respect, then you become a part of each other's lives. You're very close to God in dealing with people in life and death situations. I always felt like I had a special place with God the Creator, because you hold their lives in your hand. And you want to always hold that with the great sacredness that it's meant to have.
Now, the challenge is, I could talk really nice, but am I living it myself? And so it was always a challenge that my words and how I treated people kind of were in line, because it's easy to, what do they say about, your actions speak so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying.
Everybody has a gift, and you just need to find out what is that, and then help it grow. Then you're off and running.
It's how you do it. You've got the skills, you've got the professional skills. Just bring your compassion. Just bring your ability to listen. Grow as people, grow as compassionate caregivers. Recognizing the person there in the bed, that their need at this time, being present to that person.
And it needs to be focused on the person that we're treating, and not a diagnosis.
It's not numbers that matter, but you do as much as you can, and the Lord doesn't ask for more. I'm a strong believer in being happy in whatever you do. I really am. You're not only happy yourself inside, but somehow it draws others to you, and that's a gift.
When you find your niche in the world, then it's easy to put your whole self into it. And just be yourself with people and let them be themselves with you.
Come to work, do a good job, and go home satisfied. And if Americans had that philosophy, we would be sitting on top of the world.
Whatever you do, don't turn anyone away because they have no money, because we are here to serve the people. And regardless of what happens, God will take care of us, and to take care of the whole person. spiritually, physically, and emotionally, in every which way. The whole person, we took care of the whole person.
I'm here because I'm seeking the face of God. And it makes me emotional just thinking about it. And so that's the thread that's gone through my whole life, and why I'm here, because I'm seeking the face of God.
Our Lord Jesus Christ, suffering in the multitude of sick and infirm at every place, seeks relief at your hands. So that to me is, the main thing, that we bring the healing presence of Jesus to everyone we meet.
We've had wonderful women through the years. I mean, we're just, standing on their shoulders, because they're the ones that lay the foundation for the wonderful healthcare system that we have. Well, you take care of your staff, you're taking care of the people that were actually our hands and feet and hearts out there with the patients that we're taking care of. They did a beautiful job at it and continue to do it.
All of us actually are missionaries, whether we're in foreign countries or not. We're bringing the good news that God is here loving everyone.
That's our ministry. That's our mission, to fill the world with love. And if we can pass that on to our co-workers, then God is going to use them just like He used us.
They have that attitude, you're putting on the attitude of Christ to the people that they minister to, and I find that that's continuing in our hospitals, although I need to go around and check maybe and see how they're all doing.
The whole thing is to do the same thing Bishop Dubuis did, was to see where are the needs, can we respond? As long as we try to do God's work. And this is where the lay people come in. And see, I'm getting excited because I've always believed in that. I've seen how lay people want to give. They just want to give.
Well, I think the legacy that we leave, that all of us as a congregation leave, we have the University of the Incarnate Word. We have Christus Health. We have some outreach programs, much smaller programs, like a visitation house for homeless women and their children. A number of sisters do work with migrants. And it's that sort of a legacy that we leave.
Knowing oneself is very important to being able to understand God's working within me, and also God's working in other people. And our charism to bring the healing presence of Jesus to people is certainly something very precious to me as I practice psychology.
We really need to look at our co-ministers to also lead the way. And I think that our role has changed. And I think our role is to inspire and to recall the story. What I would want to say to all the associates is that sense of they've got to keep the story going. And that Bishop Dubuis' words today have to be as compelling as they were for those first three sisters. And that we count on them to continue this story.
Our legacy, I think we have some good committed people. Then we have the associate program, and they're very devoted to us. I think that's what's going to carry on our legacy. We know we're not going to be around forever. They need to get it in their heart that this is more than just money. This is a heart job. You do it with your heart. And if you don't have the heart, it doesn't make much sense. I have one prayer that I say, you are mine and I am yours. It resonates with me, because God is with me. And God is with every one of us.
And God so loved the world that He gave us His only Son so that we might have life. I think that's great for healthcare in the sense of life,
He who has left father and mother and country for my name's sake will receive 100-fold in this time and life everlasting in the next. Somehow or other that often comes to my mind, especially when things are difficult.
But the goal of the spiritual journey is to be able to say authentically, I'm wonderfully made. And I thank you, God, for the wonder of who I am.
And we're all called to love. And love changes everything. That's the song. Love changes everything. How I tremble at its name. Nothing in this world will ever be the same.
Are the sisters still involved? Sure they are. But they can't, because there's not enough of them, be present like they were once before. It's now the lay responsibility to carry out this ministry. Not only is it our responsibility, but they've said, we trust you. We know that you will do the right thing for us as an organization. What's your story? How do we relate our stories and our calling to what has happened in the past? And then are we proud enough and are we secure enough to be able to tell our story to others so that we can inspire others to become a part of our ministry in the future?